Hi, Class 1. It's Mrs. Durst, and today we are going to continue painting a lot of the base color of our book box. Okay, so you might be still working on the front or the back or the spine. And then after we're done painting that major part, you're going to want to focus yourself around this outer edge a little, around the pages, around the edge of the top of the box. Okay, and today I'm going to continue painting because I still want to paint the little stripes here. I think I'm going to show you how to do a wash to kind of bring out the detail of the clay work in that eye. And whatever else you had on your book box plan that dealt with paint, you just want to focus on that today. You're working on finishing up the painting of your book box, okay? So let's start the visualizer, and we will get to work on this part. So in my book box plan, which as you know is super important, I have these colors that I like, and I think I'm going to stick with them. They're a blue, they're kind of a yellow, and then in between a green, because you know what makes green, right? Blue and yellow. So I'm going to kind of stick in that vein and have them mix themselves on those little stripes. Now, there's not a lot of space there, so I'm not going to use a ton of paint. I'm just going to need a little blobby. And again, you want to control the amount of paint you use because you want this to last you over the course of this whole year. So you just want to use bits. And I'm going to put a little yellow. And I think that's good. I think that's going to get me where I need to go. And I'm going to show you how to do a antiquing wash, they call it. But first I'm going to work on my stripes. So I'm just going to get started. I'm going to take a little bit of the blue color paint and I'm going to work it in on these edges, just like so. And then looks like I'm going to probably need 2 coats of that ultramarine blue. We'll see what it looks like when I'm all done. So I'm just taking my time. This detail work takes a little more time. You just want to make it go where you want to. Another important thing you want to have is a paper towel or a rag. And you know, my little trick, my little hint when I'm painting is when my water is nice and clean, I always just get a little bit of my rag damp. And if I put paint where I really don't want it to go, sometimes I can just dab it off. And that wet, barely wet rag is going to come in great handy when I do the antiquing. Just going to paint this on. And I am not trying to make it look old in this box. So the antiquing idea is more about bringing out the detail in my clay work. And I'll show you all about that. So you can see I'm just painting these stripes on my book box. And you may want to do these all different colors. You may want to do them all solids. It's really your design, right? So I got, that looks pretty good. All right, I'm pretty happy with this so far. I'm just gonna give it a little more there, a little more juice on that. I just think about how cool these book boxes are gonna look when they're done. I just cannot wait. I so enjoy seeing what your projects look like in the end. It makes me very happy, and I hope it does make you happy as well, because you're doing something super neat and super amazing, and you'll have it forever. Okay, so I just put some blue in those areas. Rinse out my brush, wipe off my brush, and then going to the yellow. And I'm just going to put the yellow right here, right on the front. And it looks like I might need to do 2 coats. And that's okay. Paint normally takes a couple of coats to get it just right, but that's okay. I'm just gonna get the first coat on. Gotta start somewhere. Da, 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 da. Just like so. All right, so I'm kind of liking that. And I'm just gonna brush that a little bigger. It's hard to see. Come over this way for you guys. All right. Look at that. I'm just gonna make that space of yellow a little bigger. There we go. There we go. All right, so you can see that yellow is pretty translucent. It's gonna need a little more work. And if you are paying really close attention, you're gonna notice I made a little oopsie there. So I'm just gonna use my rag to take some of that yellow off. And that looks a little better. Okay, so I love what this looks like. So I'm gonna mix a green color. So I'm gonna dab a little of this blue on my brush and mix that into my yellow. And I'm gonna get this, ooh, that's nice. I like that green. And I'm going to put it right, a little dot of it right in between the yellow and the blue. And I can tell you right now, I'm definitely gonna have to do a second coat on this. And like I said, that's okay. Now, when you put on a first coat, you wanna let it dry completely before you stick on a second coat. What if you don't let it dry completely, it will lift your first coat off. It's crazy. But if you let it dry totally, completely, you can put a second coat on and really get some good coverage. Okay. Now I want to show you how to do a wash around that clay eye. It's very simple. You've got to use a lot of water though. So I'm going to bring a nice little puddle of water right here. I'm going to bring over some blue. That's what I'm going to do the antiquing with. And I call it antiquing. I'm not trying to make my eyeball look old. I'm just going to bring out the crevices of what you're looking at. It's called antiquing. And this is what a lot of people do to crafts and art projects to make them look a little old. So it's a technique that's really kind of handy. So I'm going to take this super watered down. This is like a watercolor paint right now. It's very low viscosity. That is what we say when we want something to be very loose, like water. So I'm going to paint that over in little tiny bits. I don't want it running down the sides of my box. I just want it to fill in the crevices of my book box eye and pick up the details that I made in this eye. So it starts to really look even more real. So see how this curly Q looks right now? When I touch it with this, you can see the curly Q better, right? You can see the detail of that crevice even better because I put some color in there. So I'm just working my darker shade in and around all these little crevices. And I like the effect I'm getting. I'm seeing all the scales of this eye. Just looks really more real, I think. Okay. And I'm just dabbing it on. Dabby dab, dab, dab. It's not hard. Just a little dabs here and there. I'm taking my time. You really should feel very relaxed right now. There's no issues. Of course, if something goes drippy on you, you have a nice wet rag at your service to sop up those drips. Okay, I'm just gonna bring that around like so. Yeah, I like that. All right, so I'm gonna bring it up to you so you can see how the detail is being captured around that eye, okay? And that's just because I used a slightly darker color, watered it down, and dabbed it into the crevices of my acrylic paint and clay. And I'm gonna let that dry, all right? I'm just gonna let that dry just like that. Hopefully I can get it to, there we go. Okay, so that is how you do an antiquing method. It kind of makes that eye pop a lot better. So go ahead and finish out as much of the paintwork as you can today according to your plan. And that's important. So just go through your plan, make sure you've done what you've had to do, not the detail work. I'm not worried about the names. And if you remember on my plan, I was going to do all these scales. That's detail work, and that will come soon. Today we're just doing a lot of the paint work, the bigger paint work on our book box. Okay, folks, keep working and enjoy the process. See you soon.